Welcome back to the Visually Hidden Selects podcast, episode 59. This month's selection is Big Trouble in Little China, celebrating its 40th anniversary. It's so wild to say those kinds of sentences out loud, you know? We've had a lot of anniversaries this particular year. You know, Endless Summer was doing its 60th anniversary. Trainspotting was doing its 30th anniversary. It's kind of like a little theme here. Even Ferris Bueller was doing his 40th anniversary. And we're just staying the course here. Big Trouble in Little China came out July 2nd, 1986. And that was the date that we released the VHS episode. So it's the exact day, the exact moment, 40 years of this movie. And I got to say, I've enjoyed the ride. I know a lot of people who have enjoyed this particular ride, but this film, I find nothing divides a room quicker than this film. And I'm not talking about like a controversial film like The Exorcist, where, you know, there's like, you know, like controversy embedded in the story. I mean, like, just like throw on a movie. Nothing divides a room quicker than Big Trouble in Little China, because you either like see it for what it is and love it and enjoy the ride, or you don't get it and you don't want it. That's been kind of my experience. There's no real middle of the road with this particular film.
See, I didn't know it was a litmus test. I'll have to use this then.
See, and I grew up with the film. I find that if you find it at the right time, or if you have the right, I guess, taste or palate for it, you know, if you like fantasy movies, if you like action movies, if you like, you know, it checks a lot of boxes. I mentioned that in the VHS video. It is like the ultimate movie. It has everything in it. And some people like that. Some people just like, you know, one thing. You know, this is like 32 flavors in a film.
Yeah, it does have a lot. I didn't see it until I was older. I'm not even sure when I first saw it, but it was probably hanging out with you. And it's just fun. It's entertaining. It's silly and colorful. And I think Kurt Russell might be a big part of it. I think if I ever see him in something, like I will always watch something that he's in, because he's kind of like a, I don't know, I see him as an American standard, right? Like,
yes, he is a fine toilet.
If only we had standards that high across the board.
Yeah, fine toilet. But it's also kind of fun role for him. Like he's kind of a ham in this, you know, like heart in the right place. He kind of reminds me of like he's a pork chop version of John Wayne.
Yeah.
That's how I see him in this movie.
And that's kind of what he was going for.
Oh, okay. Well,
you
he did it.
Yeah, he's definitely a hammy John Wayne, as opposed to his, you know, stone cold Clint Eastwood in Escape from New York and LA. You know, he's kind of swinging the other direction here and just crushing it, in my opinion.
Yeah, like when you see him in the beginning, he's like driving at night, like, or dusk. I'll give him dusk, but like the dark sunglasses on. And also, who is he talking to? He's just like going on and on, just hamming it on
broadcasting
the
his memoirs to the other truckers
on the ham radio.
Yeah, on the ham radio.
I think what happened, the driver from Duel picked that up and just like, fuck, I can't take it anymore. Just kill Crazy Rampage.
Oh man.
Yeah,
he's a lot of fun.
This is a movie that's been with me my entire life. I don't, you know, like many don't remember the first time I saw this. It was always there. And I loved this as a kid. I feel like I watched this constantly as a kid. And then I own it. So I was like, let me throw it on. I haven't watched it in like a year or two. And I put it on for this, you know, for this specific conversation. And I thought to myself, kind of in line with what you were saying, Pete, would I like this if I saw it today for the first time? I'm not so sure. But because it's been with me my whole life, it's like a buddy. It's like, yeah, it's Big Trouble in Little China. It's like, of course. But yeah, it's a lot of fun.
See, as somebody who, like, I didn't grow up with it, I think it's kind of like a movie version of like Candyland. Like there's just a lot and sometimes there are things like that just like pop up and you're like, what? But it doesn't take me out of the story. She's like, no, this is the world we're in, like going with it, you know? So I think, at least from my perspective, I think even if you didn't grow up with it, it's it's fun.
Yeah.
Right, but you tend to like fantasy movies and
I
you
do.
you like action movies, so it
Mhm.
it already has like checked a lot of boxes for you and you like Kurt Russell. So
Mhm.
for you, yeah, like this is like of course you're going to enjoy this movie. But if you don't like one of those things, it may not exactly connect with you.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think I
Mhm.
mean, I think if I did watch it today, I'd still like it because I love Kurt Russell, and I love action movies and fantasy movies and, monsters and all that stuff, so I probably still would enjoy it, but I just that thought had never crossed my mind until last night when I
Mhm.
rewatched it again. It's like, I wonder. But, nah, Kurt
Mhm.
Russell's the fucking man. Everything he does, man, I just enjoy that guy so much, and he still
Mhm.
looks great. It's like,
Mm.
Mhm.
as old as he gets, he still looks like Kurt Russell, he still looks like the man, and it's
Mhm.
like, I'm good with it, This is just a
Mhm.
lot of fun, and it's a good time, and I think it's a good movie to remember not to take everything so seriously.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of one of the messages of the movie as well. Like it really is just like fun in a film. It
Mhm.
doesn't take itself too seriously. Of course, the character Jack Burton that Kurt Russell plays does not take himself. He kind of wants to be taken seriously, but
Mhm.
I
Yeah, he
don't think
does.
Kurt Russell takes himself so seriously when he's playing it. So that comes across, you
Yeah.
know, and even the serious characters around him, like
Mhm.
Wang and Egg and Lopan, like, yes, they are very serious, but that just heightens, I think, the accessibility of it for us as outsiders in this story. It really is kind of an overlooked, like, sort of intellectual gem of cinema.
Mhm.
Like when you like really think about this movie and like what it's presenting and what it's offering and the way it's doing, it's like, wow, you can't just you can't just do that. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like it
Mhm.
takes like very special craftsmanship in cinema to do that. And part of it is the casting, part of it is the directing, part of it's the writing and the cinematography and the music. All these elements have to come together correctly in order for this kind of a film to, one, exist, but two, be watchable, three, be rewatchable. And I think it
Mhm.
hits it out of the park in that regard. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've seen this movie
Yeah.
between television and home video and just, you know, catching it here and there, like over the years.
Yeah.
Yeah, and even the serious characters, like, they're serious, but nobody's like, it's not a drama,
Mm.
but they're, like, very dramatic. Like, even Gracie, she's, like, one of the brains. Her and Wang Chi are, like, the brains of the operation, I think. But, like, even when, like, they're, like, saying something seriously, like, there's, like, a lot of, like, drama to it, so it's not funny, but it's, like, a lighthearted there's a lightheartedness to the drama that I think is they kinda get into some, like, deep things, I think, with, Wang Chi too. Like, he, like, questions some of the stories he grew up with, but still believes in them, thank goodness, you know? But, like, there are things, like, they dip into, but there's still that lightheartedness to it that makes it fun.
When I was a kid, this movie was fun, but I gotta tell you,
Mhm.
when Lo when Lopan comes out, scared the shit out of me every time I watched it.
I bet.
That guy in the fucking alley was terrifying, and I
Mhm.
wouldn't shut it off.
So,
I'd
so
continue to watch.
you're talking about the 10-foot tall roadblock, not
Yeah,
the little guy in the
no.
wheelchair.
When he
Mhm.
comes out with that makeup on, and holy shit, that guy was terrifying. But I
Mhm.
couldn't look away. I had to keep watching, and I felt like, "Oh my god, they're in this alley. They can't get out." I was as a kid, it was the stakes in this movie for me when I was a kid were sky high. I was like, "Oh, this is life or death."
Mhm.
As fun as it was, and as ridiculous when Jack slides back in the wheelchair and all that stuff,
Mhm.
a lot of fun. But the low pan
Mhm.
shit scared the hell out of me as a kid.
See, I always found the three storms,
Mhm.
rain, thunder, and lightning, to be scarier than Lopan. Lopan shows up and he's got his robe on, his hat, and like the light coming out of his eyes. And it's like, yeah, that's not normal. But the storms, like those guys are like butchering a small army, like effortlessly. So, and then they just like appear out of nowhere, and like it's just they like literally ride the lightning. Like it's bananas. And the one guy, Thunder, he's like massive, and like I just remember when he like
Mhm.
as a kid when he destroys himself, just thinking like, holy shit, like who
Yeah.
how do you do that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's like some type of like wild power I couldn't even wrap my head around, like self-destruct like that, you know?
I think I side with Steve on this. Like Lopan, I find just he's creepier. Like the Three Storms are awesome. They yeah, they definitely like bring the pain, but they're also serving him. He's got like, the light coming out and he's opening up his mouth and he's all pale and he's got the long nails and everything. And he also like glides.
Hmm.
He does that
Yeah.
glide. Like he's kind of
Yeah.
like he is kind of like a ghost, right? So like the Three Storms are like, I don't know, they're just like forces of nature.
Well, see, that's the
They're
thing.
like
Like, I guess I saw Lopan as like, I mean, I know he's the big bad guy. I knew that then, but I wasn't like scared of him the way I was of the storms.
Well, the
mm.
storms,
You
Yeah, see,
know,
he's
the
like
the
storms
yeah, go
the
scared
ahead,
me
Steve.
too. Let's not get it confused. They scared me
when
also. Jeez. But
when Lopan was the old man in the wheelchair, that was a little creepy, especially when he transformed into, Lopan Prime, let's call him, like the
Mhm,
ghost Lopan, like when he like started to glow.
mhm.
And
mhm.
like his skull you could see inside. That was like, fuck.
It's like Mumra on
You
Yeah.
know?
Thundercats. He's this
Yeah,
shriveled old guy,
exactly.
and all of a sudden, this big presence. Funnily enough, as I'm watching this last night, we had a mini lightning storm. It's just
Oh,
Mm.
like, this
wow.
is wild. It's like watching it in the sphere, but in my house. It's like, whoa, I see lightning. The back window, the front window. Um,
I think what's scary to me about Lopan versus again, like the Three Storms, like we all deal with like events in nature and like they just are. Sometimes like we don't have domain over that. But Lopan is like he's greedy, he gets his two girls with the green eyes. He's like lusty. He's like, trying to cheat death. He's like serving gods that like to like cheat death. So like
See, but
he's just like so many like sins and like kind of gross creepy things about his character.
but as a kid, you don't necessarily get all of that.
Oh,
You respond to like what you're seeing. And so like
Mhm.
Lopan, he has light come out of his eyes. Big deal. These guys have those like, harvesting like knives, that they like
Mhm.
throw with like bullseye precision, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
So it's like, those guys are scary. They're doing bad stuff. Lopan, he's just kind of hanging around. He's giving orders. Okay. He's not getting his hands
Mhm.
dirty.
I was always worried about Jack in that movie because I'm like, he's just a normal dude. These guys got
Mhm.
fucking superpowers. Was he? How do you fight that?
I
So
know.
I was always terrified as a kid. But like I said, I would always put it on. I would always watch it again and again and again.
Mhm.
So yeah, there's something very fun and accessible about this. It's like a weird roller coaster ride that once you get on, you can't get off. And there's something appealing about that. And even just looking over your shoulder there, that poster when I saw that in the video store as a kid, that was like the cool. Look at that. I do not like that artwork, man. That's just the great Drew Struzan who's passed away recently as one of his
Yeah.
gems, and it's like, man, his art, man, just would pull you in with certain things, and that one just looks like Kurt Russell's like, hey, we're having a great time over here. Like just that pose
Yeah.
he's got, so much fun.
It
Mhm.
and you see how it's like on VHS, on DVD, on Laserdisc, they never changed the artwork. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? They never like they just went with what worked, and like that is incredible artwork. It just it says it all.
Yeah.
And it says a
Yeah.
lot. Like I've studied the artwork on this, and it's like there's all these like little details just woven in there seamlessly. It's amazing.
Yeah, and I think that was something that kind of stood out to me, the how colorful the film is. Like, I like the opening sequences where it's raining and you have, like, light bulbs hanging and then just neon lights all over. But then, like, they kinda go throughout the film. Like, I love the skull door that has, like, a neon light outline, so it's just really bright too, even
Mhm.
though you have, like, dark, misty, foggy things going on. But I like the color of the film.
Yeah, and like I as a kid in the 80s when this came out, and there's a comic book vibe to it.
Mhm.
There's kind
Mhm.
of a cartoon vibe, like He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, and yeah, even
Oh,
even
yeah.
Thundercats with Mumra. Like there's all these like little elements that just spoke to our generation specifically and of the time, of the day. That's like all in one movie.
Mhm.
How is that possible? You know? And then you have the mastery of the direction from John Carpenter, who
Mhm.
prior to this did like his like best work, like The Thing and Christine and Halloween, and it's just like, oh my god. And of course, yeah, Escape from New York, which we've talked about before, like, and I'm going to continue to talk about forever. But yeah, I mean, I said it in the VHS, like, this is the first one I saw. I love this one. I think it is the funnest of his films, hands
Mhm.
down. Like, anybody
Mhm.
can watch this movie, and if they want to, they can enjoy it. You know, some of his other movies, they might go to darker places. Some of his other movies, they might go to places you're not really interested in. But this one, I feel like, is like an open door to just a fun time.
Mhm.
The art direction in this movie, as we just, Lou was just pointing out the neon around that. But even
Mhm.
when Jack and Wang are underwater and all the
Hmm.
bodies
Mhm.
floating, just all the different visuals, and then like the back
Mhm.
alley set and all that stuff. There's so many different textures in this movie. And then you get, Lopan's his robes, these silky flowing things, and then when
Mhm.
he's the old crotchety guy in the chair, it's like all this textural stuff is very,
Mhm.
very
Yeah.
cool. And then that creature that comes out and grabs Gracie, um, it's just wild, just wild stuff happening.
Yeah, that was the one I meant to, like, where, like, "All right, we're going with this now," like, I don't know who that creature was, if it was, like, one of the storm's pets or something, but yeah, it was fun.
Well, that's the cool thing about this movie, I think, is we are Jack. We're the entry point. Jack's the entry point
Mhm.
for us because we're pulled in. We're the Americans pulled into this ancient Chinese, myths and legends and monsters and all these different magic and whatever. So we're sucked into this world, and Jack is our entry point for that. So we're him, or he's us, or however you want to look at that. But yeah, it's just it's cool to see like Wang's kicking serious ass in certain sections of this movie,
Mhm.
and Jack's like fumbling with the gun or whatever. He's got all that, as we said before, that crazy John Wayne vibrato. Um,
Yeah, and I think that's, like, the reality of it. We'd all wanna be, like, the hero, but he's kinda klutzy, he's obviously, like, one of the stars. He's the guy that's, like, hovering over the artwork, in the name of it, but I think he's probably who we would end up being as a hero, is kinda klutzy, sort of, in a world we don't quite understand. I think we'd all wanna be the hero that Dennis Dunn's character is, but, the reality of it is, yeah, I'd probably try to help and shoot, the rock above me and knock myself out, that's probably the reality of it? So I think that's also why he's, like, relatable. He doesn't hi his character doesn't come off as, like, stupid or anything, he's just doing his best, and he
I
believes in himself.
I love the scene when they're going through like the underground like sewer layer thing, and that one creature like comes out of the wall and eats one of the guys, and then Egg throws the like, magic balls into it, and he's like, "It will come out no more." And Jack is like, "What? What'll
What?
come out no more?"
I know.
I
Yeah,
think
we would all yeah.
that alone, that reading, that bit of performance, like that says it all
mhm.
about Jack and the relationship he has with us as the audience.
Mhm.
The very beginning of the film when Egg is in the lawyer's office and they're talking about Jack Burton, they actually had to put that in after the film was all done because
Hmm.
the executives watched the movie and they were like, why do we care about Kurt Russell? Why do we care about Jack Burton? So they had to film that little scene
Mm.
where Egg says, You leave Jack Burton alone.
I
He
love
showed
that.
great courage.
Yeah.
So just to
He did.
give him a significance for the
Mhm.
audience in the beginning, like
Yeah.
they had to put that in there. Otherwise, it wasn't gonna work for the
Yeah.
executives.
You're gonna be like, "Who's this guy that tucks his shirt into his jeans?" Cuts off the cool artwork on it.
Well, I think.
Wears those big moccasins,
Oh yeah, those boots are
Yeah,
those
those
boots are intense,
Sherpa
man.
boots.
moccasins. Yeah, his outfit is really fun.
My favorite Jack line that had me cracking up last night, and I don't know why because I've seen this 1,000 times, but when the guy takes a bite of the fish's head and he offers it to Jack, he just goes later.
Later. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's such a good line.
Yeah, no,
Mhm.
there are so many like great little moments in this movie, so many great little lines or exchanges or readings. Like it really, I can't imagine not loving something about this film. Like it's beyond my comprehension,
Mhm.
like it really is like the gift that keeps on giving, in my opinion,
What I find
Mhm.
remarkable about Carpenter is that when you hear his music, that's John Carpenter, right? He's got a
Mhm.
signature about him. But the slight differences sometimes and the major differences, depending on how you look at it, he really knows how to marry the music to what he's directing. Like it's
Mhm.
sometimes the vibe is just so right. And this is one of those movies for me. Obviously Halloween goes without saying, but Christine is another one, and The Fog. I love the way for those specifically that the music really marries what you're seeing on screen. And the
Oh yeah, but this one is I said it in the video as well. Like this is his best like score, like as an actual like musical composition accompaniment to a
yeah,
film.
it's good.
You
So
know,
good.
like Halloween, it has like a handful of like signature pieces that are sprinkled
Like
throughout.
4
There's
movements
the
that just get
main
repeated,
theme.
yeah.
Yeah, and this one, it really just it you could listen to just the score and know exactly where you are in the story. Whereas like Halloween, you'll hear the main theme like 3 or 4 times and like what which part is this,
Mhm. Yeah. Oh,
Mhm.
And even Assault on Precinct 13, there's only like maybe 3 or 4 cues that are like sprinkled throughout because he didn't have the time and the resources to compose a full score. It's really not until like after gee whiz, I want to say Escape from New York. That's probably like his first like real score. Like even The Fog has like just some themes that come throughout. That's probably where he started breaking
mhm.
into that, but he really hit a stride and like peaked, I think, with Big Trouble in Little China in terms of like a musical accompaniment to a story.
And it definitely matches the story. Like it as colorful as the visuals are, the music is really fun. And I love John Carpenter music. I love all the Lost themes. I listen to them a lot at work. The music for this is really fun. And that little ditty at the end.
Let's talk about my undying love for Kim Cattrall. I love that woman.
Ah.
Kim Cattrall in this particular movie, it's like when you're a kid, you're watching a movie, right? And then like you want to go and play that movie. So like you start pretending like, oh well, yeah, I'm Jack Burton and I'm on this
Mhm,
adventure. And so of course, yeah, I'm in love with Kim Cattrall. And then she shows up in Mannequin as
mhm.
Emmy. And it's like, oh well, yeah, that's the girl. That's the girl. Like that's what women look like and should be. And when you grow up, like that's what you like hope to find. Like Kim Cattrall. That's like that's the mental picture of like women.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah. I
like she's not your mom and she's not your sister.
right, right.
So that's what you're looking
Yeah.
for.
If she was either one of those 2, I'd be in therapy. But I fell in love with her on a rerun of The Incredible Hulk, the Bill Bixby series, where she played the zookeeper. That's when the Hulk fights a gorilla. So if you didn't see that one,
Oh,
check it out.
wow.
But I was like, this girl's gorgeous. And then yeah, and then Big Trouble in Little China, and of course, Mannequin, that one really puts it over the edge.
Yeah. And then Police Academy. It's like, oh, gee
Yeah.
whiz.
I watched
Yeah.
every episode of Sex in the City, you know, for Kim. So yeah, I mean, I love it. That's my gripe. That's my one gripe with this film. The fact that he doesn't go with her, take her up on her offer. That's Jack's biggest misstep in this
Well,
adventure.
it's kind of like TBD, you know?
Well, I think that's also one of the themes of the film is like that defying convention.
Yeah.
You know, like it's taking every expectation and go in a different direction. You know, that's why like Jack is the sidekick and Wang is the hero, but you don't think of it that way unless it's like kind of maybe pointed out to you, or maybe that's why it doesn't sit right with some people. It's like, what the fuck am I watching? I don't get this, and like I think that's the upside downness of the story. That's one of the things that I love about it, is that he doesn't, like, oh, that's brilliant,
I mean,
like
intellectually, I understand what you're saying. As a man,
Mhm.
we don't get in that truck without Kim Cattrall. I'm sorry, that's just I gotta call
funny.
bullshit on that one, Jack Burton. But Jack redeems himself though. I mean, because all the bumbling and shooting the ceiling and the rock falls on his head, and him flying down that incline with the wheelchair and all his
Losing the dagger.
But when he gets low pan, I mean, that's the one that's
it's all in the
Mhm.
reflexes.
he has
Mhm.
that one moment, and he totally redeems himself. So I'll take it, because that was
I think he has a few moments, but yeah, that's definitely like the one that counts,
totally, yeah. He definitely has moments, but that was the one, and I love
Yeah.
the editing. It
Mhm.
really cinches up how fast that
Yeah.
whole transaction happens.
And that Kurt Russell, like, caught the knife correctly and threw it back, you know what I mean?
How many
Mhm.
takes was that,
Like,
right?
oh, that's so smooth.
Well, you guys can hang with Kim and Kurt. I'll hang out with Dennis Dunn.
Mhm.
I liked his character. He worked his hands to the bones.
He
Mhm.
did.
Brought
Just fingers till they bled.
school sweetheart.
Yeah. It's amazing how he didn't have a bigger career.
I just love how he's busting heads, like, left and right, He's just this, like, little unassuming guy, and I don't think Dennis Dunn had any martial arts training prior to this film.
Mhm.
Can't tell.
Which again, it's like, yeah, exactly, like, that's amazing, and that's an amazing performance, and well done him,
Mhm.
you
Looked
know?
completely confident the entire way through.
This is his movie, he should be up there, like, back to back
Mhm.
with Jack, in my opinion, on the
Yeah, I think
poster.
so.
Mhm.
I think so.
Well, even Kurt Russell wasn't really like, we know
Yeah.
him, and like now in hindsight and everything, but like he wasn't really like a star.
Mhm.
He was a reliable, like, accomplished actor who had been acting for most of his life, but you know, name name one like blockbuster that Kurt Russell was in.
Yeah, I guess at that point, right? Because when was
Santa movie.
Overboard?
What?
The Santa movie.
Christmas Chronicles? What
Yeah,
what was
like the
Overboard? Was
thing.
Overboard after that? The
Overboard was
88?
around the same time. It was
Yeah.
like no, Overboard was also 86, and that wasn't like a huge hit. He was very successful through video.
Mhm.
Mhm.
That's really where like Kurt Russell like made a name for himself, was like in the aftermarket of films, and that's where like his popularity and his reach kind of like grew. But Overboard wasn't like a blockbuster. Big Trouble in Little China wasn't a blockbuster. The
They were
Thing
in my
wasn't a
house.
blockbuster.
That's where
Yeah.
the disconnect comes, like, "They were in my house. That was massive."
Yeah. Exactly, exactly. But none of those movies were, doing like Jaws kind of
Yeah,
business.
well, yeah, at that time,
Mhm.
but he was, it's so funny that he was, like, friendly with Walt Disney, like, as he's that kid in all those Disney movies, it's like, holy shit, that's like
Yeah.
that's a fucking, and he's still going, so that's a career, like,
Yeah.
Mhm.
friends with Walt Disney and Quentin Tarantino. That's a
and Elvis Presley.
right. Right. That's a wide breadth to have in a career. It's
Yeah.
super impressive. Wow. Yeah. It's like when you
Yeah, the scope of his career is bananas when you like really look at it. Like he was on Gilligan's Island, he was in a movie with Elvis Presley, and then he played Elvis Presley.
Mhm.
Mhm.
You
Mhm.
know, he he was in a bunch of Disney movies. The last thing that Walt Disney wrote before he died was Kurt Russell's name on a fucking note on his
Yeah.
desk. Like when they like went into
Oh,
his
wow.
office after he had like died, like there was just Kurt Russell's name, and they called up young Kurt Russell and like, "Hey, do you know what this might be about?" And he's like, "I have no idea what that's
Oh my
about."
He
god.
was
Okay.
letting everyone know that's the guy. When
Yeah.
I'm gone,
Yeah.
that's the guy. Make sure the world
Yeah.
knows.
You know, you look at this film now or then, and like I said, like he wasn't it's not like, oh, Tom Cruise in Big Trouble in Little China. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like
Mhm.
that'd be a movie. But Kurt Russell, like, it just makes sense because he's kind of a chameleon. He can go
Mhm.
into anything. You got Big Trouble in Little China on one side, you got Escape from New York, you got Backdraft, you got Tequila
Yeah.
Sunrise, you've got
Tombstone.
all these Tombstone, Overboard, Swing Shift, Best of Times, like Used Cars, The Computer Wore Tennis Shoes,
Thing.
like The Thing. It's just he is a chameleon.
And even like
He
supporting
can
roles like Vanilla Sky, where
Yeah.
he's pulling his weight, giving it all his all. Guy's so good, man.
Well, James Hong as David Lopan and Victor Wong as Egg Shen. I don't think it gets any like more perfect.
Hmm.
Really, like you think about a movie, you think about a character in a movie, and you know it's an actor,
Hmm.
Mhm.
right? You know it's a person who's just reading lines. They got a script, and they're just those people disappear into these characters like Egg Shen and Lopan. I can't even I know who they are outside of this film.
Hmm.
I've seen them in other things, like The Golden Child and Wayne's World 2 and things like that, but it's like it just doesn't they exist in a different plane.
Hmm.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
totally.
Like here they just they are at their peak, and I love that they were so embraced in
Mhm.
this film and like allowed to be, they weren't like pushed into the background
Mhm.
or dismissed as a secondary character. Like they are like right up front, right up, front and center, like the way you would think of like Jackie Chan being the star. I love how many Eastern actors are prominently featured in this film,
Yeah,
which I
Yeah, a
think
lot
is
of
they're
familiar
showcased.
a lot of
an,
familiar
It was a
faces.
showcase for these
yeah,
guys.
and so it's like you throw out these other titles and it's like, who is he in that? Or oh, he just had like a little scene, and here it's like throughout the whole movie, these
Mhm.
these characters just get a chance, and these actors get a chance to flourish,
Mhm.
and like revel in their craft. It's just so to me, it's refreshing because I watch a lot of movies, and even if I love Kurt Russell and I'll watch anything that he's in, I like seeing other people with
Mhm.
him. I don't want to see the same pairing or the same kind of pairing. They like to do that a lot where it's like, oh, we'll get Bruce Willis and this person or this type of person, and we need like the buddy combination chemistry, or, and it's like, it gets old after a while. But
Mhm.
I think that's another reason why this movie is still like so enjoyable and so entertaining and so inviting
Mhm.
for the right audience.
It's an ensemble. There was no one that seemed redundant. Like,
Mhm.
oh well, we got two with that guy. Why wasn't that just one character? Like they're doing the same thing.
Mhm.
Everyone had had a purpose or a function,
Mhm.
and I think that's what helps it endure. Because I think not everybody sees themselves as a Jack. So you might see
Mhm.
yourself as as a Wang instead, or just
Mhm.
depending on who you or as Eddie. Just who's your guy. What's your entry
Mhm.
point. Like
Gracie.
yeah.
Mhm.
My I think my guy is Al Leong, the Wing Kong henchman who's in every action movie, you know, from the mid 80s. He was in Lethal Weapon, he was
Die
in Die
Hard.
Hard, he's in Big Trouble in Little China. That guy is a BMF if there ever was one.
When he's eating that candy bar in Die Hard,
Yeah,
every
yeah,
time
yeah.
he does the look like anyone looking. I know I'm supposed to be doing henchman shit right now, but you know, I'm gonna grab a Snickers, and you know,
Yeah.
it's so good. It's so funny.
Yeah, yeah, and I love, you know, he was a stunt man and a fight choreographer, and here, you know, he just gets to, like, again, he gets to flourish, you know, and like
Mhm,
he's throughout most of the movie, you know, like he just pops up and he doesn't say a word. He
mhm,
yells,
mhm,
you know, but he doesn't say a word, but his presence, you know, and you remember him and then you recognize him, and he doesn't
mhm,
have any lines, any discernible, like, you know, for lack of a better word, coherent scene in this film. He's always fighting,
Hmm.
right?
yep,
But then when you get to Die Hard, I know that guy.
Hmm.
And then
yeah,
you get to
yeah,
Lethal Weapon, it's like, oh shit, it's that guy.
mhm.
That guy from that movie, you know? Like he just makes such an impression with his performance.
You know, this movie is categorized as an action movie, and that's not wrong. But I think it's that undercuts it a bit because the level of martial arts going on and the fight
Yeah,
sequences in this movie, I mean, phenomenal stuff here. These spin kicks that are happening, people going through windows, breaking through
mhm,
tables. I mean, just the stunts going on, the choreography, the timing of it all, and the scope.
mhm.
You know, when all those guys are thrown down in the alley around the Pork Chop Express. I mean, that's impressive stuff. That's a lot. That's a lot to cover. You know, and I think, you know, I know that Carpenter always wanted to make his like kung fu, his martial arts action movie, and he did it here, and I think he killed it. I mean, some of those fight sequences are just awesome.
It's such a great opening sequence too when you have, like, the two groups that are gonna come together and they're stuck in the middle, and it's I love how they use the space there in the beginning too with Jack and Wang just kind of, like, trying to escape it, and they're, like, running through, and you keep seeing, like, the fighting in the background or whatever it was.
Mhm.
That was a really great entrance into that world.
Yeah, the alley fight and then the big fight at the end in like the throne room, you know,
Mhm,
where Lopan has his wedding, and just the the level that like it, you know, goes from like a street fight to like, you know, a Hong Kong full-blown wire work flying around sword fighting action movie like.
yeah, and I love, when Lopan and Egg Shen, like, their characters are fighting in the light,
Oh,
like
and the
those, like,
shadow, yeah,
the yeah, like the
the shadow
warriors, and that
warriors.
yeah, that was awesome, and then you brought up the flying. Yeah, when Wang and I forget which storm it was that he was
Rain.
fighting. Rain, so th yeah, they were, like, literally, like, flying
Hmm.
at each other. That was pretty intense, but yeah, and that's I think when, Egg Shen and Lopan, they have their it isn't just we see that in other films where, like, the 2 forces come together and the light is, like, going back and forth, but, like, this, like, there are actually, like, warriors in there.
Hmm.
Mhm.
That was pretty awesome.
Well, because it seemed very mythological, you know,
Mhm,
or something that you see like in Chinese folklore, or even
mhm.
back in the day when they would do the shadow puppets, you know, the wooden cart cutouts with the fire that would project the images, you know. So it was kind of like reminding me of some of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask, so I like the scene where they, like, gather up at least the first group of people and they get them out of the building, and then you see the eyes in the painting, which, like, that's something you see in a lot of movies, right? And then it's just this, like, weird creature that comes out. Who
Mhm.
is that creature?
I forget his
Do you have
name.
any yeah, do you guys have any
Yeah, it's something man.
Yeah. But well, and you know, like that's another kind of really just I'm not dismissing your question, but
Mhm,
I'm sidebarring or
mhm,
sidetracking from it. Like the creatures in this
mhm,
film, you know,
mhm.
like we've got that guy, but then there's also like that like
The
beholder
eye.
kind of guy with all the
Yeah,
eyes, Lopan's eye, you know, just flying around and like just the creature effects
mhm,
in the film, and even those big like guards that like, one falls on Jack and he like inadvertently stabs him
Oh,
and
yeah,
kills
yeah,
him and
yeah.
then he gets trapped
He's
under him.
stuck.
You know,
Uh-huh.
and it goes back into the production design, but I'm talking more about like, I guess, like the effects
Mm-hmm.
in the
Mhm.
film, all practical effects. There's no, this was before CGI, so it's all practical effects and like little animations, like, with the lightning, but then like it's accompanied by a light effect when they were filming,
Mhm.
and all these optical things. The effects were done by Boss Film, and
Mhm.
they're the company that did the Ghostbusters
Oh, that I could see that.
and Die Hard,
Yeah.
Mhm.
so, and it was founded by, I believe, Richard Edlund, who worked at ILM, like on the
Mm-hmm.
original Star Wars films and Raiders of the Lost Ark. And he kind of got tired of the politics over there. So he broke off and started his own company, Boss Film.
Mhm.
And just the level of the craftsmanship that went into that side of this film, I think is just another thing that really allows it to like hold up,
Well,
Mhm.
I'll tell you, I have a copy of this on Blu-ray, and I was watching it last night. I have a 4K TV. The lightning effects around the storms looks like it could have been made today. Like it really,
Mhm.
Mhm.
really looks good. It holds up. All that stuff. It didn't look, even though it's fake, it didn't look fake. It didn't, like when the
Mhm.
eyes flying around, it still looks sharp.
Mhm.
It still looks good.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so I think that's a real testament when not only does the film hold up, but the effects hold. Because sometimes you're like, oh, it's a good movie, but the effects look dated. It's kind of it takes me out of it or what. No, this looks seamless. It looked very clean, and I think that's Gene Cundy has a lot to do with that. The way he lights stuff and shoots.
Oh, I was just about to talk about
Yeah, I was gonna
Dean.
say he's your boy.
He is my guy forever and
Mhm.
a day. I saw there was going to be like there's a convention coming up. I forget where it is. I think it's in Chicago. And they were like, "Oh yeah, there's going to be like a Halloween reunion." So like Tommy Lee Wallace is going to be there, John Carpenter's going to be there, PJ Souls is going to be there. I just want to go talk to Dean Cundy. I
Mhm.
could give a shit about all those other people, Carpenter included. Like I just want to talk to Dean. I just want to like look at him and smile and have him smile back at me. That's all I want. Because that guy is a master. And I truly believe that we probably wouldn't be talking about John Carpenter and his films if not for Dean Cundy, because his
Mhm.
lighting. I was thinking about this not too long ago, and I finally came to the realization. We talked about Halloween a couple years ago on the podcast, and it's remarkable. And it's one of those movies that I've seen hundreds, like plural. Like I watch that movie every night as like a bedtime story, you know what I mean? And I was thinking to myself, it's like, why do I always want to watch this movie? What is it that draws me back to Halloween like every single night for months? And like it's the cinematography. It is Dean Cundy's beautiful, picturesque nighttime lighting cinematography that I just want to study
Mhm.
like constantly. And this film, it's not really a night movie, but there's like, some dark settings, but then there are some very brilliant, vibrant settings like Lopan's throne room and things like
Mhm.
that. Even when they're like in that like dungeon and the light is coming from the floor,
Mhm.
right? It's such a beautifully shot scene. And like
Mhm.
there's little pockets of that all over, like when they're going through the sewer, and they're like swimming and everything, and they wind up in that chamber. It's like, yeah, it's a remarkably photographed film because
Mhm.
it goes to all of these different places and it plays with all of these different genres, and then it has all of these different, it has the fighting choreography, and it has the visual and special effects. It has all of these different elements that are rolled into it. It's like, yeah, this isn't just a straightforward like cut and dry movie. And so Dean Cundy is just doing like this is like a masterclass in cinematography, in my opinion,
Mhm.
more so than I would say even Back to the Future or Who Framed Roger Rabbit, which he did, on either side of this movie. Like those movies, they got their own challenges, don't get me wrong, but this movie is doing all kinds of stuff photographically.
Yeah, I mean, one of the main, if not the main reason I love The Fog so much, that movie's got atmosphere for fucking days. And it's because of him. That he really, there's something so tangible about that film specifically. I think it's a highlight in his work, and I think this one too. You know, I mean, obviously Back to the Future and Halloween and Love, those are two of my favorite movies of all time. But there's so much good stuff, and like you said, all the lighting in this stuff, and even the stuff in the airport, could have been very flat, could have been very nothing going on. You know what I'm saying? But it has life. And I think I was talking to a friend earlier about a movie and modern day and how everything looks flat and washed out, and it's like straight to video streaming quality type of shit. And study this man. He knows how to light a frame. He knows how to create depth. It seems like there's a fucking world there. Something's going on. You can get in there. There's some deepness when you're looking at.
I think, and that's probably why. Well, one of the reasons why I love Escape from New York so much is like that is a dark movie, but it's so beautiful. Like the compositions that he created and the lighting schemes that he created. It's just, oh my God, I could talk forever about Dean Cundey. I don't know that I would, I don't really like get like starstruck or anything like that. But if I saw Dean Cundey, I wouldn't know what to say. It's like if I saw Danny Elfman, those are like the two guys that I would
just like, gonna say that.
I would just become like a blundering idiot around.
Well, if you do,
John Carpenter, whatever, like I'll talk to him like about directing or whatever. But like Dean Cundey, he's like on a different plane of existence just because of like the way he's made me see the world. You know what I mean? Like he's like changed the way I look at things. And that's like as personal as you can get.
All right, so Pete, favorite scene in the movie?
It's probably like I said in the video. The one that I remember seeing first was the in the elevator, and the elevator floods, and then they go into the hell of the upside down sinners, and then they go into the dungeon and the wheelchair, backwards wheelchair, like that. I remember like seeing that all for the first time. It's just like, and I was like a little kid, but it was so freaking cool because like I said, it evoked these things that I had been experiencing in, cartoons and comic books and things like that, but it was real. And so to me, it just kind of like, it was amazing. So yeah, that whole sequence from the elevator to when he pulls himself out of the well in the wheelchair is like, yeah, that's, I gotta like just stop what I'm doing and watch the movie.
I mean, I just remember thinking that Kurt Russell was the coolest guy I had ever seen in my life in this movie. And then here I am, was it 40 years later? Wasn't wrong. He's the coolest guy in that tank top and those ridiculous boots. But,
It's funny if you like look at his costume, he's got like the Harley Davidson hat, he's got the sunglasses, he's got like the
that sweater,
the pullover, and and he's dressed as if he's dressed himself from a truck stop.
Yeah.
Because he's a trucker, like that's what he does. So like his character
What truck stop has those boots? Because I want to swing by there when we drive home.
I think it's in Colorado.
Probably.
Okay.
Actually, Kurt Russell, he had those boots made in Colorado right before the film, and he wore them. He still has those boots.
That's amazing.
As a kid, I always loved how he like hid the knife in the boot. That to me was the coolest fucking thing imaginable.
And who knows what else he has hidden down there? They're gigantic.
That's where he got that sandwich from that he was eating in the beginning.
Yeah.
You tuck the pant into the boot and the shirt into the pant, and you're good to go.
Yeah, he's ready for ticks.
He is.
Except his arms are all bare.
That'll about do it for us here today at the Visually Hidden Selects podcast. We will be discussing a completely different film next time, so make sure you head over to our YouTube channel and subscribe so you don't miss any future selections. You can catch Steve and Bendler over at Steve's Pop Culture Corner on Instagram. Louise and I, of course, are also on Instagram as well as Letterboxd, so you can follow us over there and find out what we've been watching and see what we think. And until next time, it's all in the reflexes.